What's up, everybody? My name's Ryan, and I am Rhino Destructo. Welcome to my Scream 2 movie review. See what I did there? 2 screams for Scream 2. If I keep that up for all the Scream reviews, it's going to get really annoying and really redundant by Scream 7. We'll see how it goes. But alright, Scream 2. This movie came out December 12th, 1997. Less than a year from Scream 1. And it's crazy how good this movie is for a sequel released less than a year from the first movie. But that's because they knew what they were doing. Wes Craven's back directing. They got Kevin Williamson back on the script. They got the whole returning surviving cast. Everybody's back for it. But let's go ahead and roll my Scream intro, and then we'll get into the movie. I'll be right back!
Like a scary movie. I love scary movies. Surprise! Burn it all.
Like my Scream 1 review, I'm going to cover this entire movie, spoilers and all. So if you don't want any spoilers, go away, go see the movie, and then come back for my review. I really need to fix the audio on that Scream opening, but it's okay. It'll work for now. We have, alright, 1997 Scream 2. We have all the returning cast back, but we're not starting off with any of them. Instead, we're starting off differently than all the other movies. We're starting off with a date night between Omar Epps' character and Will Smith's wife's character. I'm not saying her name because I'm not putting her name in my mouth, so Will Smith can come slap it out because then I have to fight and that'll be a whole thing. We don't need any of that here. We don't need it. But got Maureen Evans and Phil Stevens. They're having a date night. This is the first and only movie in the whole Scream franchise that does not start off with a phone call. It's crazy that out of 6 movies, this is the only one that does not start with a phone call. But instead, we got Maureen and Phil out at the movies seeing an early free screening of the movie Stab. That's why I got this on. Stab. A stab movie. It's a Scream movie, but in the Scream universe, it's called Stab. How meta can you get? This theater is so decked out for this movie, man. I love the big mechanical stabbing arm on the theater. Why can't my theater be like this? The inside's even more decked out, and they're even handing out Scream masks and costumes and little green knives. It's amazing. It would have been amazing to see this movie in theaters and see people seeing the fake Scream movie Stab in theaters. I don't think I saw this in theaters. I think it was a Blockbuster night later for me. And then Scream 3 was the first one I saw in theaters, and it's probably why I like it a lot more than a lot of people. I have other reasons too, but this is about Scream 2. This movie, like the first, is a very serious horror movie that also pokes fun at horror movies. Specifically in this one, sequels. And also specifically the fact that there's not a lot of black people in a lot of horror movies from the 80s, and the fact that the ones that are in them, they pretty much die at the very beginning. They die early.
Now I'm gonna tell you what it is, okay? It's a dumbass white movie about some dumbass white girls getting their white asses cut the fuck up, okay?
I think both of these actors are fantastic in this opening. And Omar Epps, I love his response right here.
I need my black meat too, homie. Like, we're gonna have an all black movie, all black cast, all black wardrobe, black eyes, everything, black eyed peas, just black cats.
Hi, here you go. What's this? Stab souvenirs, the studio sent them. And it's white.
The mask is white, but the whole robe and the hood and everything isn't white, or we'd have a whole bigger problem. Holy crap, we don't need a KKK ghost face. Do not do that! Alright, so Maureen and Phil, they go and sit down for the movie, and like I said, the whole theater's decked out. Everybody's wearing the costume and the mask. They even got little ghost face dudes flying through the theater. It's awesome.
Very romantic.
Yeah, that theater is totally decked out and super amazing. I need my screening of Scream 7 to be like that. That's awesome. But yeah, Maureen and Phil, they sit down, they cuddle up for the movie and stuff. But then Maureen is like, hey, I want some food. Go get us some popcorn. Like, don't you have some money? I do, but I want you to use your money. The line's taking a little while, and Maureen's getting scared in there by herself, so Maureen goes and sees what's going on with Phil. Gets the popcorn, gets a little backstory about how these movies are true stories that happened the year before, and Phil goes off to the bathroom and says, I'll be right back. And of course, he's not right back. He goes in the stall and then he hears like some little kid making some noises in the stall next to him or something. So he puts his ear up there and we get our first kill. The kill that Scary Movie has massacred to death over and over again. Also, I think it's a pretty stupid kill. Who put their head up to a window to get or to a stall wall to get their ear stabbed in? Pretty stupid. But you know, it is what it is. And this has to happen so Ghostface can take Phil's clothes, put all his clothes on, put the mask on with no black robe in there, and then go sneak in the theater and sit next to Maureen so we can get our second kill of our opening. Because this is Scream 2. We need 2 kills this time. Ghostface gets back into the theater right in time for the opening kill of Stab 1, the Drew Barrymore kill from Scream 1. Maureen thinks nothing of it because Phil already tried to scare her earlier on with the mask on. And Maureen cuddles up because it's kill time and the big kill's coming up. But then notices blood on Ghostface's arm and finds out that he's not Phil. He is indeed the killer. And Maureen gets stabbed a few times in a theater full of dudes with fake knives and Ghostface mask and everything. And then her kill is super dramatic as gets up there in front of the screen and everything and screams all horribly. It's an agonizing scream. It's really great acting, I think, by Will Smith's wife. And then we get our Scream 2 title screen, where it's supposed to be, I think. I think all the other movies, it's right after the first kills when we get the Scream, whatever movie it is, logo. But in the first movie, it happened at the very, very beginning. And then after the first kill of the first movie, it cut to black and said Scream 2. It's crazy that the first Scream movie had an opening so good that it basically gets reused over again here, but in the background, a lot like they did in the first movie with Halloween being the final act. You gotta use that theme song again. Can't get a better theme song than Halloween. Can't really get a better opening than Scream 1, so why not use it again? Except it's Stab 1 this time. And after that, after our Scream 2 title, we get our first phone call from Ghostface, maybe?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Who is this?
You tell me.
Corey Gillis, 5550176.
I love that we have Neve Campbell back playing our final girl, Sydney, once again. And I love that we're off at college now. It seems like the best way to progress these movies. If anybody's working on the new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, take notes here and do that. Do a direct sequel to the first movie and have Nancy off at college. Like, that's the hot thing to do in Hollywood right now. For a while it was remaking the first movie, but now it's remaking the movie but not starting at the first movie, starting at the second movie, because we've already started at the first movie too many times already. I think you could like somehow tell the story of how Hypnosil was getting made while Nancy was in college, and that would set you up perfectly to remake the third movie, a fan favorite amongst most Nightmare on Elm Street fans, while the second one wasn't the greatest of movies. But enough about A Nightmare on Elm Street and more about Scream 2. But if you do want another A Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger Easter egg, these are Wes Craven movies, and you do see the Freddy Krueger green and red striped sweater hanging in Sydney's dorm room. I love how unbothered Sydney is by this prank phone call and that they put caller ID in this movie. Sydney's completely unbothered by the phone call until the news gets turned on as Sydney sees the murder that happened in the theater that's pretty close to where Sydney's already at. And then Sydney immediately asks, "Where's Randy?" And we find out Randy is in school with her, somewhere on campus. He's in class right now. He's in film theory because they're at film school. Also, while we were in Sydney's dorm, we were introduced to her roommate, Haley, and we saw that Cotton Weary was on the news doing some interviews. We then cut to Randy's film theory class where they are discussing the theater murder as well as movie sequels. And we meet Randy's classmates, some more members of our cast. We got Pacey from Dawson's Creek at a series that Kevin Williamson wrote. And we got Mickey, the foreign film student. And Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar's in this movie. That's awesome. Buffy is on fire around this time. Buffy did I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream 2, Buffy, Scooby-Doo. On fire! A lot like Ortega or McKenna Grace right now. They're both in everything. It's crazy awesome. And then Randy leaves class to Sydney freaking out saying, "Oh crap, Scream is starting all over again. All the killings, it's all coming back. It's gonna be madness." And Randy's in complete denial before we meet Sydney's love interest of this movie, Mr. O'Connell, a great actor that I remember most from Sliders. Love that series. They're walking around campus and they walk right into Courtney Cox's returning character, Streaks. I mean, Gale Weathers, but with streaks in this movie. Big red streaks. And we're also introduced to my favorite character of this movie. Sorry, Randy, my favorite character from the first one. Sorry. The cameraman, he's awesome. And he might be my favorite character out of all of the Scream movies. I'll get into why a little bit more a little bit later. And then we're also introduced into a very annoying local reporter played by Laurie Metcalf, who the whole movie I'm trying to figure out who it is because I know her from somewhere, but it has nothing to do with Scream. It's from Roseanne. It's Roseanne's sister. And when I finally figured it out, I'm like, why is Roseanne's sister in this movie? Amazing actress, though, and is really amazing in this role. While Gale is doing her thing, we're introduced to two of our other main characters in this movie, the Delta Lambdas. These are two creepy sorority sisters that the movie tries to make you think are the killers the whole time. They're always in the right spot at the right time. And one of them I remember from 90210, and that one becomes a killer in a different horror movie the very next year in 1998. And then Sydney notices Dewey off in the distance, wandering around on campus trying to keep everybody safe from Ghostface. And Dewey's got a hilarious limp and his arm's all messed up the whole movie. It's pretty funny. Even Randy makes fun of him for like, what's up with that limp anyways? Didn't you get stabbed in the back? Severed nerve! Dewey tells Sydney to be careful because if somebody is redoing the events of Woodsboro, you probably already know them. They're probably already in your friend group. Sydney is aware of this and definitely does not like it. And then Randy goes and says hi, and Randy and Dewey start discussing who the killer is. Dewey thinks Randy might know because he goes to school with them all and they're all his friend group and everything. And it's funny that Randy right off the bat nails who the killer is. If you've seen it, you know I'm not going to tell you here right now. It's a lot like when Dewey nailed the killer in Scream 5. Right off the bat, he knew immediately who it was. But if he's a suspect, then I'm a suspect, so let's move on. So they move on. But you never move on that fast. You always suspect everyone because everyone's a suspect. And then out of nowhere, we get Gale surprising Sydney with a Cotton Weary interview that leads to Gale getting slapped yet again, and even the cameraman saying, "Damn, that was cold," not telling Sydney about that.
Oh, Sydney, share with us, please. I'll share with you.
Okay.
Did you get that on film? Yes, I got that on film.
Gale walks off pissed off right into a Dewey who's telling Gale to leave Sid alone and also saying, "I hate how you wrote me in your book, The Woodsboro Murders. I am not that much of a doofus. You really are, Dewey. But before Gale leaves, Dewey says, nice streaks.
One more thing. Nice streaks.
Then all of our main characters go off to a drinking party with the Delta Lambdas. And that leaves Buffy, or Cece, at home being the sober sister at the sorority house that ends up getting a phone call from Ghostface. A phone call that quickly escalates to Buffy versus Ghostface. The too bad Buffy versus Ghostface doesn't last very long as Ghostface makes quick work of Cece, making her the third kill of this movie. This is a really good scene with some really good dialogue and a great kill. Buffy puts up a pretty good fight too before going down. We cut back to the party where all of our main characters are at, and we get the two Delta Lambdas coming in there saying, hey, something's up at the sorority house. So everybody runs over to the sorority house real fast. Gale goes over there to get the scoop, but finds out Gale has been scooped by Debbie Salt, the local Woodsboro reporter who seems like was the first one on site. Always the first one on site. A little creepy that one there. That Debbie Salt's a little sus. A little bit. You see Sid and Derek outside of the sorority house. Sydney goes in to grab her coat right quick before they leave to get the crap out of there and go off for safety. But as Sydney's leaving the sorority house, the phone rings. And Sydney can't help but answer. You gotta see if that's Ghostface or not, right? And of course, it is Ghostface. A few quick words leads to Ghostface popping up out of nowhere and a little scuffle between Sid and Ghostface. And then they run around the sorority house. Sydney escapes out the back door while Ghostface is busy tripping on stuff. He's always a super clumsy guy, I tell you. And Derek meets Sydney in the back door and then immediately goes inside the house after Ghostface, because if anybody's messing with your girl, you're going to go kick his ass. Screw that guy. I would too, man. But then we got Dewey trailing right behind Derek. He runs in the house after him. He finds Derek in a room by himself. Ghostface is gone. Ghostface has cut Derek and ran off. Didn't kill Derek, gave him a little cut. He looks around. He doesn't see anything else except for the sorority sisters sitting there. Again, the right place, the right time. Super sus. The same as it is with Derek being cut but not killed by Ghostface. I understand he's going in there protecting his girl. That's what you're supposed to do. But with as crazy as Billy and Stu were, you never know. The Ghostface guys could be stabbing each other to throw the scent off, off of themselves and make everybody think it's somebody else. But Dewey definitely thinks that's very, very convenient. Even Sid's starting to have her doubts about Derek a little bit, as Sid tells Derek, the best thing for you probably is to stay as far away from me as possible. And that leads to a cafeteria scene where Derek does his best Tom Cruise from Top Gun. Eat your heart out, Tom Cruise. Man, Kevin Williamson is really a big fan of Tom Cruise. In the first movie, he was talking about his penis and all the right moves. And now he's taking a scene from Top Gun from Tom Cruise. And after that, Derek gives his fraternity letters to Sydney. In that scene, we were also introduced to Sydney's two new cop security guards, basically Sydney's Secret Service. They follow her anywhere and everywhere Sydney goes. Then a little bit later, we get a really cool scene of Sydney acting out in a school play, rehearsing for Cassandra, with all of her other castmates around her dancing as different masked ghouls and stuff. And then Ghostface is in there blending in with all the ghouls and messing with Sydney. It freaks Sydney out. Sydney runs off the stage right into Derek, who's not even supposed to be there, but Derek's like, I'm filling in for Mickey. Mickey told me to fill in. He was busy doing something. Red flags are everywhere for Sydney. Sydney's like, you need to go away. Stay away from me. I need to be alone right now. I don't trust anybody. Everybody's a suspect. We then cut to the campus courtyard with Randy, Dewey, and Gail all sitting around talking about who's the killer, how are we going to find the killer, when they get a phone call from the killer. Gail and Dewey told Randy to keep the killer distracted and keep him talking while they go around the whole campus looking for somebody on a cell phone. And then Randy walks a little too close to Gail's van, and that's where Ghostface is. Ghostface pulls him in the van and gets stabby, stab. And then we lose our coolest character in the Scream movies. We lose Randy. I don't think it was too soon. It could have been somebody else. Why Randy? I get you got to keep killing the main stars off so people don't get too safe knowing that all the main guys can't get killed off. So, I mean, it makes sense to kill Randy, but Randy's like the voice of the people. So I really would have loved Randy to stay around longer. It's almost the feeling I had in Scream 5 when they kill off a certain character that I think needed to be Gale. It was time for Gale. I don't know who you could have killed here to be as impactful as Randy. Maybe Dewey, but I love Dewey too. Gale, same thing. Keep those characters around. Some of your main characters. Maybe they could have made more out of Pacey and then killed Pacey right here. That could have maybe worked out. He's definitely an underutilized character and actor in this movie, but building him up only to kill him off probably would have been expected. Probably wouldn't have been a big surprise. But anyways, I love this scene. I love the dialogue we have back and forth with Ghostface and Randy. We got the Ghostface talking to the movie expert finally. We didn't get any of that in Scream 1. I really would have loved it, but we get it here, and then he dies. Then we see Sydney in the computer room getting creepy texts on her computer from Ghostface. The cops come in and freak out, and they see Cotton Weary coming in, trying to ask for an interview, raising his voice and stuff at Sydney. So he must be the killer again. They're making you think it's Cotton again. Now I get to tell you why I love the cameraman so much. He's getting the crap out of Dodge. He did not like seeing a dead body in his news van, so he quits. He leaves. He's getting the crap out of here. He knows he's black and they don't last very long in these situations anyways. And also, he knows Gail's cameraman from the first movie got killed off, so he's gone. He's out of here and he survives this movie. He's brilliant.
What's going on? Ooh, let's see. For starters, they impounded my van. It's now an official crime scene thanks to you. Here's your footage. Enjoy. See ya. Wouldn't want to be here.
Joel, I need you.
No, you need to have your head examined.
Scream, once again setting up rules for death and then breaking them. You're black, you die. Not in this movie, this guy gets away. You have sex, you die. Not in the first movie, Sydney has sex, Sydney lived. And then Gail and Dewey, they see the tapes of the cameraman left and like, hey, Ghostface might be on these tapes somewhere. Let's go look at them. So they go inside the campus, they go find a room with a VCR, they start looking at all the tapes. And right as they start making up, because it's been tense between them the whole movie. As they start making up and making out, Ghostface interrupts them. Ghostface is there. And then they both scatter and run off. And we get a good scene with Dewey getting stabbed again in a sound room. And Gail's on the other side of some see-through glass, seeing the whole thing happen the whole time, but you can't hear anything. It's pretty cool. I like it. And this starts building us up to the final act. And then before we get Gail running from Ghostface out of the campus, we get Sydney trying to get in the car with her two security guards and her best friend Haley, and they're trying to get off campus. Sydney saying bye to Derek, and then as they drive off, Derek gets kidnapped by some dudes in some hoods, looking kind of like Ghostface, but we find out it's his fraternity, and they're taking him to our final act, to the auditorium. Everybody's got to report to the auditorium right now. They're getting drunk with him and tying him up in the auditorium. And then we see the car driving off with Sydney. And Sydney, where are you going? You can't go. You can't leave the campus. You got to report to the auditorium for our main act as well. So we get a scene where the car wreck. And then we basically copy, I know what you did last summer to get rid of the two security guards and Sydney's best friend. And then Ghostface runs Sydney back to the campus, back towards the auditorium for our final act. And before we get there, we see Gale running out of the campus, running right into a blood-covered Cotton Weary, who then Gale thinks is the killer. And Gale runs outside right into a Debbie Salt who's on the phone calling somebody. And Gale's like, "Oh, I found the killer! I found the killer! It's Cotton fucking Weary!" And then we cut to Sydney going into the auditorium for the final act. Sid goes inside, and as Sid is getting on the stage, you see Derek drop down from the rafters, tied up still by the fraternity guys and whatever they tied him up to. And Sid starts trying to untie him. Like, "Oh my god, Derek, I got you. I gotta untie you." And then we get Ghostface coming out of nowhere. "I wouldn't do that if I were you, Sid. Remember, history repeats itself. Your boyfriend's always the killer. Boyfriend killer, boyfriend killer." And as Sid's trying to decide if her boyfriend's trying to kill her again or not, Derek pulls out a gun and kills him. Bam! "Well, you're wrong again, Sid. Too late." "You fingered the wrong man. Again." Poor Sydney, man. Sydney finally had a great boyfriend. He was gonna be a doctor. And you let him get killed. All you had to do was untie him and be a little quicker. I think Mickey's a great killer here. He had killer written over his forehead the whole freaking movie. And as he starts explaining his motives and everything and why he was doing it, you get this great line from Sydney saying, "You forgot one thing about Billy Loomis. I fucking killed him."
Yeah. Well, you're forgetting one thing about Billy Loomis.
What's that?
I fucking killed him. Piece of shit.
I love Sid right here using Derek's Greek letters to hit Mickey with, and then kicks the gun away and tries to get away, but doesn't make it. Mickey gets her, and then here comes our second killer reveal.
Gale. Mrs. Loomis?
It turns out that Debbie Salt is more than Roseanne's sister. Debbie Salt is also Mrs. Loomis, Billy's mother, and super psychotic that Sydney killed her son, who was a murderer. Son deserved to die, Mrs. Loomis. Sorry to tell you, but you're crazy. And Mrs. Loomis comes out and isn't really having Mickey's plan of going to trial and stuff, so boom! Turns the gun on Mickey, and Mickey's dead. As Mickey's going down, he fires his gun, and a stray bullet goes into Gale Weathers. Mrs. Loomis got two birds with one stone here. Two birds with one stone. Always a great thing to do. I never really liked Mickey's motives and everything, but he was a great Ghostface. You know, he was very capable. I can't really see Mrs. Loomis in the costume the whole time being Ghostface, but that's okay because Mrs. Loomis had Mickey. Mickey did most of the heavy lifting, I would assume. And although it's pretty stupid because Billy was a killer and deserved it, Mrs. Loomis's motives are pretty good. Sweet, basic revenge. It was her son after all, and Mrs. Loomis is also a little mad at Sydney's mother for, getting with her husband and breaking up the family and all. It always goes back to Sydney's mom, Maureen Prescott. You ruined this whole thing for Sydney. Completely ruined Sid's life by spreading your legs for everybody. It gets even worse than the third movie. But then they have a nice little fight scene. They run around. There's all kinds of stage effects from the play they have set up. That's really cool. We lead into Cotton Weary. He appears. He finds the gun on the ground. He grabs it. And he sees Mrs. Loomis over there holding Sydney with a knife, saying, "Let me do it. Let me kill her. Come on, Sydney put you behind bars for a whole year. You know you want to do it."
Let me think about this. Maybe you should too. Bet you that Diane Sawyer interview's looking real good right about now. Huh?
Consider it done.
And that's how Scream 2 ends, with Cotton Weary being the hero. And then we get Gale Weathers popping up okay, Dewey's okay, and we end the movie. And we end with the news media circling around Sydney trying to interview her. And our cameraman that left the movie, he's back with the camera doing the interviews himself now, asking Sid, how does it feel to be the hero? Sid's like, why don't you go talk to Cotton? He's the real hero of this movie. Cotton's like, I'd love to talk, but there's a time and place for everything. Here's my number. I'm going to make some money. Overall, I think this is a great sequel. I want to give it 4 out of 5. It's not as good as the first one, but it's a fantastic sequel. I don't like the killers as much as the first one, but they're great. Laurie Metcalf is freaking nuts, man. Great at playing very innocent and unassuming, and then great being the crazy psycho mom of Billy Loomis. I hate that Debbie Salt didn't really interact with a whole lot of the other cast in this movie, except for Courtney Cox's character interacting with Gale. That was about it. So really wasn't part of the friend group, but Mickey was, so that works. And that does it for my Scream 2 way too long review where I broke down the whole entire movie. Now I gotta go and review the other 4 movies before 7 comes out on Thursday. And then I'm gonna try to have a right out of theater reaction to it before I get home and scream Resident Evil 9. So be here, like, subscribe for all that. And I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys are awesome. I'm out of here. Later, dudes. Bye.